you could be headed to Grandma's on Thanksgiving and this big slob's doing the Frankenstein walk across the cut bean field because they're losing their does. The does are getting bred.
Those big mature bucks are the ones that are
they don't want
to quit.
They don't want to quit.
On this episode of the Whitetail Edge podcast, we dive into Ben's season so far, his strategy on his 3 tags filled, and tactics moving forward from here.
Hey guys, welcome to Whitetail Edge podcast, episode 38. We're catching up here with you. I know we said we were going to start banging out podcasts, but figured out that Benny is not the greatest at getting in front of this situation all the time.
It's hard to nail him down.
Yeah, I'm just, I get focused and I'm laser focused, and I just don't like anything interfering with my mind when and I know it would probably be better, people would probably love it more if I would be a lot more entertaining or letting you in on my season. And Javen keeps trying to get me to do that. But I struggle so bad with that, letting people know what I'm up to, and it's hard. Some of it, I guess, is maybe afraid to fail, which we talked about that. I don't like to say I'm doing all this and then it doesn't work out.
Work, yeah.
But really, one of my main things is I just don't like people knowing what I'm doing. I'll just be honest, because as Javen has seen this year a little bit, how many people watch what we do and where we're hunting and what, and it affects you. It gets to a point where if you're people that are hunting in your neighborhood know too much of what you're doing, it can affect the process.
Well, and it's super easy especially if you're hunting one target deer and you're showing people that. It just takes one, you showing a house or a road, or it takes one little mistake for somebody to know where it's at and for them 100%. To mess it up.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, and all you do is fuel. If people know you're on a certain deer, you fuel the neighboring hunters to hunt harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're watching you for your content to see what you're posting about it instead of them doing the work.
That's something I've never understood too. Because I still do it on mine. I don't know. There may be a time where it just doesn't work for me or I can't. But I enjoy that part of it. But it also I just never understood why somebody else would want to hunt a deer based on information that somebody else is giving them.
Well, it's just success. It's just like we've talked many times here recently, and this is something I'll get into quick too a little bit. So when I shot the first big deer this year, which Walker, my buddy Walker, and his dad Bruce, we were all kind of hunting the same deer. They hunted about 3/4 of a mile to a mile north on a farm. Walker had all kinds of velvet footage of this deer this summer. But I knew the deer liked to rut on me on the lease that I have south of them, and there was another lease in between that a bunch of guys hunt, and so nobody really knew who was going to get the deer. But obviously, I had a fair amount of pictures of the deer last year during November, October, so I knew that he did visit, the farm I could hunt. Mm-hmm. So I instantly started to do prep for that, as far as making black widow mock scrapes close to doe bedding areas and things like that, to try to start monitoring when he was going to start showing up. And the very first picture I got of that deer for the year, I believe, was September 29th. If I remember right, it was September 29th. He showed up on a stealth cam at 3 a.m. in the morning.
And then he
made one loop.
Yeah. And so you knew he was aha.
Yeah.
Yep,
so then I was
we're getting there.
Yep. And so just going off the information I had in the past, I took a chance and I hunted the next day with no recent information, no more pictures or whatever. And I was I kind of know where he would like to be. Maybe I'll see him there. And these white oaks were just raining acorns. And I sat it that night, and I couldn't freaking believe it. That stinking dude showed up.
That was the 30th, September?
I think it was
29th,
the 31st or something.
Okay. Because
I'd have to go back and look, but anyways.
It was the opening weekend.
It was my first sit.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away. But the thing was he came from totally not where I expected him. That's what got me.
Yeah.
Like he didn't come from he came to where I wanted him to, or where I thought he would show up on this tree line checking scrapes and, running this and eating acorns, because this big tree line connects two bedding areas. But what it was he came from completely, which you should know this, downwind, I guess. Mm-hmm. He had circled, which now that we know more what we do, we don't think he was bedding where we thought he was after that.
Think he made
we
a big
think
loop.
He just made a big loop.
Yep.
But anyways, he ended up nailing me. It was like somebody just smacked him right in the head with a 2x4. I looked back and he was coming across this weedy field, and I'm like, holy crap, that's him right there. And then all of a sudden he's just coming, like nothing on his mind, and he went,
gotcha.
like this, and then he was right into the woods. And I got that all on film. And I was like, dang, that's a good deer, man. Like, first time I'd seen him in person in the, that year, and I couldn't believe I saw him first sit.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling. Your gut was right.
Yeah, I text Walker immediately. Well, that evening, I said, hey, and Walker and him called him Bucky. I texted him and I said, hey, you're going to get Bucky again, because he said, I hadn't seen him on camera for 2 days. I said, well, I bet by midnight you get a picture of him. And sure enough, dude, he come right in. They had an old logging road.
He's going home.
Yeah, I said, he'll be home. And they had an old logging road that come up through a big patch of timber, and he come right up through there. I was like, daggone it. But anyways, it worked out. We ended up getting him.
Yeah, well, so I wanted to, we kind of got right into the story of Bucky there, but I wanted to, you killed him on the 22nd of October, and that was the first of 3 deer that you've killed now.
Yeah.
And then you killed in, I want to make sure I get these dates right.
We recovered him the 23rd.
Yeah, that's right. And then you killed Illinois on the 29th. And then Kansas on November 14th.
Yeah, just the other day.
So, yeah, I'd like to kind of hit just a few minutes on each one, kind of what your strategy was, or kind of a little bit about it, and then maybe a little bit of a strategy going into either late season or whatever your plan is for the rest of your tags.
Yeah, and one thing I was starting to talk about, though, was like when we shot Bucky, we did not immediately post it. This was the biggest deer I'd had a chance to hunt in Ohio in a long time. And it was really special for me in the sense of, one, I was getting to share it with Walker and Bruce, some like just the camaraderie and going back and forth. And like I was even sharing my cameras with Walker. Mm-hmm. And Walker was sharing some of his, I'd give him a couple stealth cams. And, Walker's only 21 or 22 years old, I think. And so like I, had give him a couple cameras, and then they had some. And we were just sharing information. It was kind of fun for me.
Yeah. That's not your typical.
I'm not used to that. Like, I don't really talk to people about, very few as far as like what I'm actually doing. But I didn't want Walker wasting his time sitting if Bucky wasn't around, and we agreed
Vice
for
versa.
me too. Mm-hmm. So it was like, and it was kind of fun to go back and forth. And either one of us was going to be happy for whoever got it. Like, and but it was really cool to do that. And then Walker got to be there, for the recovery when we did get him, and he was, stoked for us. But anyways, I waited 2 days to post that deer after we killed it, just because I wanted to get back to why I really loved to bow hunt and enjoyed hunting. And, and a lot of people just say, well, I'm a trophy hunter, and I am kind of now. Like, I really am. Like, I mean, but it's not so much a trophy of super rack size. It's just I pick out certain deer, and that's the deer I want to kill.
Yep. Yeah.
And this year, all 3 deer I killed were deer were targeted. And you killed yours, targeted yours, killed it first sit. But the thing is like I just have been so taken back by how social media has watered down the meaning of this, of like being able to harvest such a great deer. It's become more about people just running to the camera to get a picture with their buck so everybody can make comments, and I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be self-glorifying in that sense of like, because I get it too, like, even in the comments I noticed, like after I killed the second one, people are like, then it starts turning into, oh, it must be nice to have the places to hunt you have, or this or that, or, You know what? What's really weird is it seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yep. And that's a gold line right there, just in life in general.
Yeah, and
like the harder you work, the luckier, the more blessed you are.
I'm 51 years old. I ought to have a little bit of land now or something. So it's kind of like, but people forget where I've come from. And me killing big deer, and I'm not blowing my horn when I say this, but there's so many young people that follow us now that don't really know my past. I mean, they really don't. Like, I've been filming for 24 years now, 23 years, I think it is. And
it's a long time.
Yeah, and the very first deer I ever killed on camera was 184 inches.
Yeah.
Back when I was 27 or something, So, like, it's nothing for the people that are my diehard loyal fans, like Rodney Rinker, people like that. Like, Rodney's always commenting, been just, he's a guy that comes to name. There's so many of them, Paul Shoemaker. There's just numerous names of guys that have followed me for a long, long time that always have great things to say.
Yeah, well, we get quite a few comments still of I've been following you since the Drury days.
But those people know that it's nothing new for me to kill big deer.
Yep. And those are the people that have the high respect.
And they're very supportive of like, oh, Ben got another one.
Yep.
To where some now get to the point where like, oh, Ben got another one. Or, you know what I mean? Like,
well, there's just a new generation, and the industry and the outdoor space is always evolving, and like every industry, I think. And there's new people coming up into the industry that don't know that.
Yeah. Well, just like the other day, we had a guy comment. We posted about rattling and grunting in that Kansas buck, and this guy commented, and he's like, well, it'd be nice if you knew how to rattle and grunt. You know how many freaking deer I've shot rattling and grunting in my time? Like, and they're all on video, and it's just like, and you commented back, and you were just like, well, maybe we'll take you with us next time to show us how to call.
I love those comments. I just love those comments. It's just like, if you really knew, like if you really, really knew, and it's just that's what you get. Keyboard people.
But it's fun.
We enjoy it. Yeah, it's fun.
But anyways, it's like, so I just really wanted to have this season to a point of where I was like, and Bucky was fun, dude. Like, that was the funnest deer we've hunted in a long time. I mean, we actually thought, to be honest, we thought he was bigger than what he was, but it doesn't matter. Like, he was still great. He was 183 inches. We honestly thought we were hunting a 200-inch deer. We really did. But it doesn't matter. Like, that did not affect me at all. Just the challenge that he presented and like what he was doing and how he was so cagey and watching, which we finally figured out that he was watching how we were entering and leaving on different winds. And so we had to, pull off. And I don't want to give all the secrets up because like some of it's got to be saved for the shows. But we went through some strenuous efforts to get to this deer. Basically way out of our way to get right back to where we needed to hunt him, within literally 100 yards of the truck. Yeah. Or where we
used to park.
Yes. Yep. Crazy deer. But anyways, it was so fun to be in my home state, to be able to hunt a few minutes from the house and then just enjoy it so much.
On a deer that you really wanted.
Like, because you even said, like, I haven't seen you have this much passion in a while.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, and it wasn't like it was an easy spot
to hunt. It was tough to hunt.
And it wasn't like there wasn't pressure. Everybody thinks that for some reason that I'm hunting no pressure deer, or that I'm hunting farms that like nobody can hunt on, and it's not the case at all.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
it's not a big piece of
like in
land.
Kansas, and this is honest truth, just like Kansas, where I was just hunting, and I've hunted out there for years. I don't bait deer there at all, but all the neighbors are.
Yeah.
Everybody around that block is baiting deer. And there's cattle all over this farm. Travis runs cattle. Like, I mean, it's a great farm. It always has a good buck going through it, or they rut through it. You just got to put your time in and hunt those spots. But, like, we're not baiting those deer. We're not, like, it's not like those deer, there's outfitters literally all around them.
Yeah. Yeah, and we drive past them on the way there. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like we're getting these special treatments, and that's what I think a lot of people do know that watch our show, and I think they understand that. And, like, that's why they like Whitetail, because we hunt a lot like they're used to hunting. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I have some land now, you know, in Illinois and things like that, you know, yeah, I can maybe not put the pressure on the deer, and so they feel a little less pressured, you know, to where they'll maybe move a little more in daylight. You know, that's for certain, you know, but we lost 180-inch deer this year right on the right next to the property.
Yep.
And we had one picture of him, and I told myself, I was like, oh, you know, well, I'll do some homework when I get out there. And I knew where he was, or figured where he was. Well, I didn't get out there soon enough to do it.
Him early.
The guy next door got him, and good for him. I mean, he did his homework, and he planned for it, and he got the deer.
Well, that's, I think, what we want to advocate and to show, like, for you, like, you do the best with the opportunity that you're given. And that's absolutely what everybody should be doing, whether it's permission property or whether it's, they acquired some land now. Just make the best of whatever opportunity you have. Well,
just for instance, so say like now that you've really followed me for a whole season, you know, and here's the crazy thing. Javen has little kids, you know, wife at home, baby on the way, so he's limited on his time he can be away. So he can only be gone so many days at a time. 2 times the day after he leaves, I kill. And so it just happened in Kansas, and it happened in Illinois. So I self-filmed the last 2.
Maybe I just need to stay away and just have you home by yourself.
But the footage is so much better when it's being filmed by you. But, like, you know, we hunted hard together, though, like in prepping and all that. So, like, for people that always wonder, like, what could you say? That like this is what Ben does, or this is how Ben rolls, or this is like, what would you say?
I would say your persistence and just not giving up, and I think you've mentioned it before, but I always think of like you're like a tick and just digging in, and you're not gonna give up because it didn't happen, you know, the first couple days or whatever. Like you're going to figure him out. You're relentless in that way, to where a lot of people like get discouraged a lot quicker, I think, and it's like, well, it's not happening, but there's no quit.
Yeah, and I think that's that's the truth. That's what I tell people. I use that scenario. I'm like a tick, dude. Like I'll bury in.
Yeah.
And I won't back off until he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if he's on my hit list, it's, you know, unless I truly, truly know I've pressured him so bad that I've run him off.
Sure. I would say the other thing, too, that comes to mind is you let the deer teach you or tell you, and you're not afraid of being wrong in the sense of, let's do something different for next time. To where like just with Bucky, like figuring that deer out, to where a lot of people just keep hunting the same spot, or they just keep making the same mistakes, whether the wind is marginal or whatever, to where like with Bucky, like you figured out, okay, you know, he might be doing this day because of a certain wind, or he's bedding in certain spots, so we need to figure out how to adjust. And adjusting, I would say, on the fly is something that you're really good at.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and truthfully, like, this is a plug for Novix, too, because they make it so easy for us to be mobile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like with the helo and the climbing sticks, or even, like, having some permanent sets with the 20-foot sticks or whatever. But, like, you saddle hunt pretty much behind me filming, and I'll use a helo because I don't saddle hunt. So, you know, being mobile like that has helped a lot, and we can try things. But yeah, I really try to let the deer dictate the process.
Yeah.
Because like if he's not moving or he's not doing being, you know, then what's the point? I'm not going to hunt unless he's there or I feel he's there.
Well, and that's something that I think a lot of people, and granted, it's different for different people, especially guys that just have weekends to hunt and just have, you know, it can be a little bit different in that sense. If you have 2 days to hunt on the weekend and then, you know, you're back to work, like you're going to hunt somewhere, or you're going to do something. But I would say, like, don't just be locked into your permanent sets.
No doubt.
And based on wind and where the deer's coming from in the last few days, as far as MRI, and that's something you're absolutely
well. And even like when we go out of state a lot, like especially say like Kansas or places like that where we don't have near the MRI, most recent information on deer. we do put our time in, like, and learn from a tree stand.
Yeah.
What deer are doing
what we're
too.
seeing.
Like, we have some cameras going, but not nearly like what we can have in Ohio where we live and can, so like you still have to, there's times that you put your time, because I talk to a lot of guys that are mobile hunters, and got one young guy that communicates with me a fair bit and, asks questions, and he said he thinks, like this year he was going to change his tactics after the first many weeks of season. He decided he was going to try spots longer. Like, he was just basically bouncing.
Sure, yeah.
And I think he'd said he'd done, it was an astronomical amount of sits, like different
spots.
And moved this many times. Well, I do believe that's very hard then to figure something out.
Yeah, sure.
And he was kind of on a thing where he was trying not to use trail cameras and all that. And I understand that. I get it. For me, it's hard not to use trail cameras now because of, for one, my obligations of I have viewers that want to watch us be successful. I have a camera sponsor.
Different states and the amount of tags that need filled.
And the amount of time. Like, I'm taking away from actual work.
Yep.
So I have to make the most of my time. And I don't think the trail cameras have taken away my passion for the hunting. Like, at all. Like, or like the surprise, or what I think they have done for me really is help me make great decisions on, certain deer, or like we talked the other day, it's like, if you have a few pictures of a buck and you've got used to looking at those trail cam pictures of him, when you finally see him in person, you only got to see a flash of a tine or something like that to know that it's that deer.
Yep.
And then you can focus on killing.
Yeah.
You're not like, you're not surprised. You're not peeing down your leg like a puppy dog because you're so nervous, or like a bam, like you're sitting in, like say you're sitting in Iowa on public land for the first time and a 200-incher pops over the hill. Well, anybody's gonna get a little jacked at that point.
Absolutely.
To where like the cameras for us, like, we may not be right on that deer, but maybe we've got a picture of him working a scrape a week earlier, or so those kinds of things. Like,
well, it's part of a management thing too. For properties that you can manage, it's inventory.
Yeah. Well, even like the properties like in Kansas and places that people that we get permission to hunt on or whatever. I don't want to just go shooting. Anything.
Right. Yeah.
Like, even for the neighbor's sake, I don't want to shoot their young deer.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's really I mean, I've in the past. I've made mistakes, but like, I don't particularly aim to do that.
Yeah, and you can prevent that a lot easier if you have pictures.
Exactly.
Of a deer. Yeah.
But I do believe like trail cam information, and like we use the stealth cams, like the Deceptor Max 2.0 now is one of my favorites, because it and the Fusion Max, the 2.0s don't take SD cards.
That's a big thing.
And that has really changed the performance level, I feel, of all cameras.
Yeah.
Because you're always getting a stupid SD card
error.
That's messing up.
Yep. Even after a camera's been working for a while.
Like, even if you format it or whatever, it's always an SD card issue.
SD card issue. Yep. And that 2.0 prevents that. I mean, obviously there's no SD card in there to malfunction.
And this is one thing too. Like, if anybody uses stealth cams that are listening, make sure you have that DVR button turned on, because that clears. So, like, say by chance the internal memory does get full, it will automatically erase the last picture or the first picture and then replace it with the new picture. So you don't lose the most recent information. You may lose, but it's good idea though to just go in there and format the memory every so often, so you can clear.
But if you do have it on the DVR mode,
it will not.
You will get the most recent photos, and the old photos will get pushed off as new photos come on. Yeah, that's a great feature.
Just make sure you have that on, and then with their new on-demand feature, which you can turn the on-demand on, and you can request photo or video, whatever, which is super nice.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before too. When we first started using the stealth cam cell cams, I didn't like the fact that it had the option of like only photo or only video. I was used to like Spartan or Reveal or something that
It
where
takes
you
a photo and then a video.
But this is what I've now noticed. So with the stealth cams, it's only photo or video, and even when we run it only on video, it takes like 3 pictures, bang, 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 and then you decide, okay, like yeah, I want that, and then you request the video. Here's what I've learned, and I think I talked about this before, but what I've learned is you don't miss the deer. So with the other ones, what would happen is it's focused on photo first, then it takes the video. Well, half the time you're getting the deer's rear end.
On the video,
The video.
It triggers on.
So you request the video and you got nothing.
Yeah,
you're like, gosh, this is so frustrating.
So what the stealth does is it triggers and takes a 10-second video, and it sends you a screenshot, the first, the middle, and the last of the video, and then you can request it.
Then you decide if you want.
Yeah.
And what we have seen is you do not miss the deer unless he's literally running like 90 mile an hour.
Right. I mean, he's got to be faster than the trigger speed.
Exactly. And so that is, and it does not affect the battery life at all. Like we have seen no difference. So we pretty much run every camera now on video mode.
Video, and I love video mode, especially during the rut when deer are chasing or moving fast. So often I feel like if you only have it on photo, like you get a picture of a doe, let's say you have it on photo and even a 20 or a 30-second delay, you get a picture of a doe running and then there's nothing. You have no idea what was chasing it or what went through in the 30 seconds coming after that, to where if you have a video, like you can get at least 10 seconds of video and possibly see the deer that was chasing that doe. And
the other thing, man, like you just need to see the prices of those cameras. It's stupid how cheap they are. And it's almost like it's one of those things now where obviously cell cameras, they're also making money on the plans, the data, but their plans are so reasonable.
It's so reasonable that it's really, money is not really a factor as far as if you're wanting to run.
If you're running to run 6 to 10, if you're just an average guy,
exactly,
and you need 5 to 10 cell cams, it is affordable to do it.
Absolutely, is 100% affordable.
Very, because you're spending. Most guys are spending $15,000 to $2,000 on a bow setup.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going out of state or you have to work a lot, and you need to monitor your situations, spending that $1,000 on 10 cameras. Or 6-7 cameras and some data. $1,000 for the year, man. It's so worth it in time and gas. And,
Well, and I'm even running some of the Connect Max 2.0s, and those are even more affordable. They're a little bit less feature wise. But that's I've run quite a few of those that they tell you what's there, and I mean, I think they're $40 a piece.
Yeah, and Muddies are the same way. So we use Stealth Cam and Muddy. It's they're both owned by GSM, and GSM is one of our sponsors. They just sent me a couple new Muddy Matrixes. So because we'd had a few of those the real old Deceptor singles, like the 8 battery ones, we'd had them a few years. Yeah. And so they wanted to replace those. So we're using some of those new Muddies, and those are just as good. Same plan, same app. It's the Command Pro app. So not trying to get on this tangent, but I'm just telling you, like, if you're a guy that's always wanted to try cell cams or you're not satisfied with what you have now, give these a shot. Because I really, like, I've got some high-end guys that have switched completely. Yeah. Well, like Lamar. I mean, my buddy Lamar had an absolute freaking ton of Spartans, and he switched all over to stealth cams, and he just loves it. It just
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and just the way the plans are, the affordability. So it just makes a lot of sense for guys if they want to try one.
Let's move to your Illinois deer. You named Hammerhead. You ended up killing Illinois October 29th, I think it was. Yeah. What made you call him Hammerhead, or what was kind of the beginning of that story?
Well, just the very first video I got of him this year, he was walking through standing beans in velvet. And just the way he looked, such a huge body, just the way his rack was kind of compact, but decently heavy, just walls of tines, big sticker coming out. I was like, man, what a hammer.
What a hammer.
And I was just, I don't know, that's just where it came from. And like I was saying earlier, like we named the deer just so we can communicate, like, you know, you're hunting different areas, different farms, different states, different leases. You got to have some communication of like an easy way to tag these deer.
And often it's some kind of characteristic of the deer, whether it's a body feature or whether it's his antlers or whatever.
Well, everybody calls, you know, splits or forks or this or,
it's,
you know.
because of something about the deer.
Yes, but like, you know, we start naming them actual names just because it's easier, like Lester or Curly or, you know, and then we know, like, well, hey, you know, that's the field that Curly shows up a lot on. Be careful, he's 3.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
And we know exactly what deer we're talking about.
And we create albums through the command app on our phones that we can share, like shared albums, and you can save those pictures. And so we save all the deer we want to keep in a folder, whether, you know, shooters, non-shooters, 3-year-old, 4, it doesn't matter. We don't exactly categorize them that, but each farm has a folder.
Yeah, and you can save those directly from the Command Pro app into those specific folders.
Yes, and then you can add people to the folder. Like I can share that folder with you or Dan or Lamar, anybody I want, and I can take them off of it. But, you know, that way those pictures are always there, and then I can delete the cards as I want or whatever. But it's a nice feature.
That's a great feature for any farm that you're sharing with somebody else.
But basically, like with Hammerhead, you know, same thing. Like, you know, just was monitoring him. The Black Widow mock scrapes are huge for me. Like, I start making those scrapes in August, you know, and I'm able to monitor those deer, know where they're hitting. You got them on food sources or water sources also that time of year, and you can just kind of see how the deer use the landscape. You know, and whatnot. And like, he pretty much, his core area was, you know, a little bigger than
Hammerhead was
than I expected it to be. Because, like, remember the one time we went out there to do food plots in Velvet, and before I came to the place we were staying, I actually stopped into that farm.
You watched a bean
field?
And
I watched a bean field that night. And I saw that dude, and he was
a long
not
way
the
from
deer I expected to see by any means. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Well, that's Hammerhead." Like, what in the world? Like, I didn't expect to see him up here. So that kind of told me how his range was a lot bigger, and I ended up actually killing him in that field.
Yeah.
Well, in the woods, but he had a different part of that farm. But he was on that farm when I killed him. I couldn't believe it. Which where I ended up killing him was not too awful far from most of all the other content.
Yeah, you killed him about in the middle of his range, probably.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
But he was a very dominant buck, and what I learned about him was that he, just like Bucky was dominant. Hammerhead was dominant. So one of the tactics, like with Hammerhead, that I figured out was, and same with Bucky, they were checking Doe Groups. You know, later October, that last week and a half, they were really walking, like, and I've noticed this with big deer. They want to know where the first doe is going to pop, and so they check these doe group areas where these does like to bed or feed, and they want to know, and they actually act like they're rutting. People think they're rutting, but they're really not. Like, they're just trying to figure out, but they're making their scrapes. They're doing this, you know, process of creating their rut territory. Now, Bucky did actually find a doe. He found the first doe early, like the 22nd.
The night that we killed him,
he was locked down.
He was tending that doe, for sure.
And he was pushing every buck off. She was coming into heat. He knew it.
Yep.
Nobody was getting near her. We watched him for an hour and a half in the bedding area till we finally got a shot of him where he came out into a field where we could actually get a shot and legally shoot him, because where he was bedding a lot was actually in a spot that we couldn't hunt. And I mean, I had a couple shots I could have took at 35 yards, but I'd have been shooting on the neighbors, and I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, for sure. When you talk about like a buck running around different bedding groups checking for does, do you feel like that buck can actually tell, okay, there's a doe that's going to be here early and then leave again, or do you feel like they can only tell if they're within that 24, 48-hour window and then just stay there?
The way that both those deer were acting, I feel like they knew.
They knew.
I feel like they knew where they needed to be.
Well, I feel like sometimes deer, like from year to year, if there's certain doe groups or a certain doe that comes in early, like that's, you know.
They know. So, like, I had a farm.
You can almost guarantee every year that's going to happen if that doe's there.
I had a farm years ago that I hunted up in Windham, Ohio, where I used to live. And every year, the 17th to the 20th, that farm would light up with just bucks out the wazoo. And we couldn't figure it out. Well, then we figured out there was a doe that always popped early there.
Yeah.
And those bucks knew it. And they would show up looking for her.
Yeah.
And it would get crazy for a couple of days. And you're like, man, the rut's early. And then it would go away. Well, we were pretty young then.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to figure out that that's what was really happening. And, you know, as time goes on and age and just, you know, I'm learning things, I figured out what these bucks do. I have killed now with Bucky. I mean, we killed him on the 22nd, recovered him on the 23rd. I've killed 4 or 5 deer, 180, you know, 175 plus to 200 in those 2 days.
Yeah. Wow.
So I love that time of year.
No kidding.
Like,
especially if it correlates with a little bit of a cool
you
front.
give me any, if I had to pick 1 week a year to hunt, it's the 21st to the 28th.
And again, that's targeting specific deer.
Yes,
and
like
trying
if I'm
to,
on a
trying to
specific
zone in
buck.
on a specific buck.
Yeah, not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to travel to Kansas or somewhere, Illinois or someplace I don't know, and I'm going to hunt for just constant deer movement. No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you are on a deer and you know how to read weather and moon phases and things and barometers, and like you can use that week right there to get on a hammer.
Let's paint a scenario or a picture for somebody. Let's say they have 40 or 50 acres. They have maybe 2 different, you know, kind of doe bedding areas or whatever, and they have one target buck, and he's going to come through and check those doe bedding areas. How long can he expect a deer to like just one night maybe or a few days before he makes a route?
I guess it all depends on, you know, every deer's different. Like if he has what he wants there and there's more does there, or like he likes that farm, he may stick around. If he's just looping and he feels a lot safer, you know, say 3/4 of a mile north, he may go back every night.
Yeah, sure.
But I feel a lot of it has to do with what is there for him. Like where I ended up killing Bucky was literally just an old grass cut hay fields.
Yeah.
That's what that farm consisted of.
And a lot of does.
A lot of does, a lot of acorns. You know, there was wheat fields, you know, on the other side that had been planted to winter wheat, where the beans had been harvested. On the neighbors, there was standing corn that had been silage cut. And what I think happens there is like that soon as that corn was cut and some of those crop changes, that's when he showed up.
Yep, that's a good
point. And it was like, okay, and I expected that. Like that's when I was figuring he was going to maybe make an appearance.
But Bucky, he bedded quite a bit also, I mean, in different spots, but close there. It wasn't like he just made one route and then was gone for a few days.
He decided that he
lived there quite a bit.
Yeah, he decided he was going to start bedding there a fair bit. Like I think he just, something about it, and I think he didn't last year too, and, you know, I think that's just his range moved.
Yeah.
That's just, he was one of those bucks that his home range moved in the fall. Not every deer does that, but Bucky was one that did. Hammerhead did not move. He stayed same general area, but he walked more looking for doe groups.
Bigger area.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I basically, how I ended up killing him was I hunted one morning where we'd had an evolved clover plot, standing beans that we could hunt over, a water trough hole. You know, a lot of does showed up there. He had been showing up there a little bit. I decided to morning hunt it, and I didn't see anything by 9:30. And I'm like, I don't think this is where he's at. Like, because I felt like I really should have seen him.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I was onto him that good that I'm like, I should have got a glimpse of this deer this morning, the way everything is, and I didn't. So I felt the way the wind was. I looked at my maps, my deer cast, and I was like, okay, I'm going to move to the other side, and I'm going to have to do a hang and hunt to catch this wind, and I think he's going to come up out of this draw, checking these scrapes here, making his loop.
Mm-hmm. And when you say the other side, I mean it's a different ridge
600
system.
yards.
Like it's a good ways.
600 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a big gamble.
Yeah.
And I moved at 9:30.
Yeah. And you didn't have a stand hung there,
no,
right?
So I did a hanging hunt with a helo and a small little pin oak, red oak tree.
Yep. You sent me a video. I love
yeah.
that. Not high off the ground.
Yeah. No,
you biked pretty much to the tree.
Yeah, I e-biked.
Uh-huh.
To the tree. And I put the bike right at the bottom of the tree,
covered it up.
Leaves.
Yeah.
Trying to keep my scent to a minimum because it's a long way in there to that farm. But luckily the beans were cut and I was able to go right through the middle, and I didn't leave any scent around the edges or anything. And I thought he would come out of my left, up out of the ravine, coming up to check those scrapes and fields. He actually came out in front of me just a little bit, about 40 minutes before dark.
Okay.
And he was working a scrape, and he was about 150 yards away, maybe a little farther, and he was, acting aggressive. Like you could see the mood he was in, and I'm like, well, before he dives back down into that other ravine going on his way, I'm going to call to him. Mm-hmm. I didn't even bother with the grunt call at that point, the extinguisher, because it was far enough. I just grabbed the horns and I just started tickling him, and then I got aggressive really hard. And I mean, he whirled, looked, wagged his tail, and he was coming. And I mean, I'm self-filming. I couldn't even film him where he was at. I didn't get him on film until he even came into the timber.
Sure.
But the key was setting up to where I felt like I could see a long distance in one direction, but also be where I really felt like he was going to come from. And he just didn't take the trail I thought he was going to be on, but I set myself up to where I could see him at a distance doing, like, I knew he was going to go to the east. I felt the way the wind, because the wind was east, hitting him right in the face. He was going to be cruising with the wind in his face, and this is another thing. A lot of people say, you got to set up downwind to scrapes like 60 yards because those bucks will downwind. Bull crap. That's the biggest hogwash junk I've ever heard. Like, I don't even know where that came from. I've seen so many writers write that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you ever killed a buck on a
scrape?
scrape?
Just an old one of those wives' tales
but
or
it's
whatever.
Even newer. Like, I see people still writing about it. I'm like,
interesting.
Why do you say that?
Yeah. Well, even after you called to him, he pretty much came right straight. Like, I mean, he made a little bit of a.
He made
he didn't walk straight, but he didn't like circle around downwind on that one.
He was on it. He's like, what is going? He was fired up.
And I feel like that happens a lot more. Like, if you can see a deer and then call to him, they'll be a lot more likely to come without just circling.
Yes, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you have to be able to see what they're doing. Like, if he would have been in a certain spot, I may not have called. Sure. Because, like, I would have been like, he's going to be too easy to circle me. But how I had set up, the only way he could circle me was he would have had to have dipped down in the ravine. I was blowing my scent over a big deep hollow. So that's another key, is how to set yourself up. And those are all things we can dive in deeper at some point. But basically then, like, he couldn't resist that. He come flying into that sound, and he literally grunted a little bit, and then I blasted him at 15 yards. And he went 20 yards, flipped over.
That's a really good
butt
video.
Over tin cups a couple times. And he was dead on his feet right there. But then he died in this huge ravine. He his last flip, he's like,
let's go all the way down in. And you had to get him out by yourself.
And it took me a long time to get him out, but I got him out. This old man did it. But I was so thankful, dude. It was so cool to kill that deer. Like, he was awesome. I mean, he was like, I think he was 174 and 6/8, but just an awesome buck. I mean, it was so fun. Like, this year's just been a fun year for me.
It has.
It really has. Like, I've had a couple years, the last 2 years, where I've really had to grind to get successful. And so I was really thanking God that things were kind of...
Yeah, we've had a great year.
I mean, the whole team in general has
absolutely.
Has, I think about everybody has killed except a couple guys. And
there's still tags, though, to fill.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
Different guys, have other states and stuff. And let's, why don't we quick go to your Kansas buck? What was kind of the strategy behind that deer?
basically we were just hunting rut funnels.
And that was more middle of the rut. What was it? The
14th. Yeah, we were just basically hunting rut funnels, and like cruising bucks. Seems to me Kansas rut is always a little bit later, than Ohio or Illinois. It seems like the farther out there you go, and a little bit south, that it seems like I always have better luck in Kansas late.
Sure.
The
day that you killed him, did you feel like he was between doe bedding areas, between does?
I didn't have any clue.
Okay.
I really didn't know. Like me and you had encountered him 2 days earlier, and he was with a doe then. The last sighting we had of him at 70 yards, so he had made a huge loop, come back in on our left, and he was running all those does. He had picked up a doe, so we knew he was locked with that doe. We didn't see him hide nor hair the next day, the last day you could hunt. And so then me and you had hung that stand on the downwind side of that bedding area close to a pond and cattle pasture there, where we were just looking for cruising bucks where we could see either way, maybe call to a deer. I ended up shooting him in that stand at noon, 78 degrees.
And he was by himself.
By himself. Like, he popped out of nowhere. Come literally, the first sighting I had of him, I seen a glimpse of him through a cedar tree at 20 yards. And he was coming out underneath that cedar tree. He made no noise. It was windy. And he had come in where I could not see him coming.
In the bottom.
And he was just in my lap. Like, it was horrible.
Wow.
I mean, he was right there. And I'm scrambling, trying to get the GoPro on, get the big camera on. I hit record on the big camera, but I don't even think the camera turned fully on before I hit record, so I didn't get it on the big camera. Luckily, I had the painted arrow mount on my phone, and he squeezed through my first shooting lane. Like 10 yards. I couldn't even get a shot.
And this was just seconds, probably.
Seconds. I mean, and we're in this nasty Osage orange, or I am. Like, it was just me, in this nasty Osage orange tree with some cedars around it. Big, wiry, bushy tree. Luckily, I had trimmed that lane out the back.
Towards the pond.
And I almost didn't, but if I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have got to steer that day.
No kidding.
Because I was able to sit down in the helo and squeeze around, and I got one shot through there. I don't know how I got it through there, but that's how I got it.
We worked pretty hard to get that stand in there.
I mean,
we trimmed, both of us.
Hour and 10 minutes, I think, for us to get that
get it situated.
And I mean, we got cut up like
we were bleeding,
but it paid off. I mean, and that's part of the effort too that we talk about, like the grinding, the persistence. Like, this spot will pay if you do
putting the work in,
and you got to put the time in. I mean, I bet not many people were sitting at noon at 78 degrees that day. Most people probably get discouraged and are like, I'll come back out in the evening. But I felt like he's going to lose his doe. If he's did, it seems like they go walking again at that 10:30 range. 10:30 to 1 seems to be when you catch
between
them.
Does.
Yes. And so I'm like, I'm going to sit all day. Because this is the other thing too, like what people don't understand. They're like, oh, that's great, you get to go hunting all the time. Dude, it's like a job. I mean, it really is. It's a job. Like, I'm getting paid by sponsors to produce and to make content for you all to watch. I'm taking away from my regular job in the timber business to do this. I'm leaving my family. And I love to do it. I'm not saying I'm not complaining about it. But I look at it like that it's my job. And so I have to put the time in, or the work. I have to trim that tree. I have to take the effort. I have to walk this distance. I have to do this. I have to sit in 78-degree weather in case he does walk through here.
Yeah, sure. Well, these are all tactics, though. It doesn't matter if somebody has to do it or not. Like, if they want to kill good deer, like,
this is what you got to do. That's right.
And even like for that tree, even if it's still worth hanging that stand or prepping that tree, even if you wouldn't have killed this year for next year.
I mean, how many times has that paid off in Kansas for us,
Yep.
especially Kansas and Illinois and places? You go ahead and do it while you're there. And you may just need that tree 2 years later.
Exactly.
And we've done that so many times. Walk in, hang that tree, kill.
That tree's prepped. It's a good spot for certain winds. Let's go sit it, even if, we trimmed it.
We did that year
2-3 years ago.
I smoked him, dude.
Yeah, in Kansas.
I trimmed that tree 2 years earlier. And I was like, let's go to that tree for this wind. It's perfect. And we might catch a buck coming in, and we did. Within first 30 minutes of daylight, and we were done. That was awesome.
They could all be that easy. But those are the things, though, like you say, if they could all be that easy, but you did the work. a couple years,
Yes.
before that to actually get that tree prepped. And
One
get it
thing I
ready.
do too, like, and this is something like when I'm scouting or shed hunting in the springtime or like, late winter, I'll prep trees then.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll cut shooting lanes. I'll look at how that tree lays. If I find good spots, I mark those on my deer cast, what wind I think will work. I'll even put sometimes, like if it's land that like the landowner doesn't care, or it's like a junky tree, I'll put screw-in tree steps in them. Mm-hmm. So those pegs are in there.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I can just get in them.
How do you feel like the leaf cover has an effect on you trimming spots?
Well, you're taking a guess.
Yeah.
But like it's at least you've got 90% of it. I would say the battle done. Things are going to grow and change, but you have got most of the hard stuff done. And it really does make a difference.
It does.
And it's nice having those options,
Yeah.
or a spot prepped where all you got to do is carry a helo and 4 sticks in, and bam, you're in.
And that's something I think the difference between like the way your style of hunting or the way that you do it. You can bounce around with your mobile equipment, but a lot of the trees that you're hunting have been prepped.
Yeah.
To where like a lot of guys are saddle hunting and they go in spots that they have nothing, and that's a lot how I've done over the years, and that's really, really hard to find a good tree that you can shoot out of that you have any kind of cover, and that's not prepped.
Well, like the
it's
night
hard.
I killed Hammerhead, though, that tree was not
Yeah,
prepped.
you're right.
I did a hang and hunt. I trimmed what I could trim, and I limited myself,
Yeah.
but I hunted.
Yeah.
And I
Every
that's
scenario and every
yeah,
spot.
I mean
is
the
different.
hanging and hunting, and that's like where this young guy that was talking to me about how many sits he had made on public and different places, and he wasn't coming up with anything, and he'd seen some good deer, knew some deer were around. But I'm thinking to myself, man, that is a lot of hanging and trimming and trying to get, like, I just feel like I would spend more time finding the deer I want to hunt first.
Sure, before you're actually hunting.
Yes, like, I mean, I don't know. That's just how I've always rolled, though, and it's just worked for me. Like, I'll spend more time scouting or like doing homework to get on a deer than I will hunting him until it's time. But I understand, like in this guy's position, he was probably hunting to find a deer.
Sure.
He
Well,
was, like,
if he's not running cameras,
he didn't want to run cameras and those kinds of
you're
things.
going to have to lay eyes on him.
So I get that, so he was just basically going off sign, which we all used to have to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have moved as much then. I think I would give a spot a little more time to decide, okay, that deer isn't here right now, or, instead of maybe trimming one spot, hunting it that night and never hunting it again.
Yeah.
I would maybe visit it a time or two to give myself a chance. Because, sometimes deer don't walk the same way every day.
Right. Well, probably you'd have to have the correct wind for it, though, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, the hanging and hunting is nothing new to the industry. The
Sure,
mobile hunting, like
yeah,
going in
right.
and hanging and hunting, like I've done it for years and years. It's changed a lot as far as like
it used
the
to be
equipment.
climbers and
Yeah, we used to use climbers,
Yeah.
or we used to carry giant old steel stands miles
Homemade
into public
stands.
land, and and that's why I have such this struggle with the mobile hunting now. Like people complaining over a pound.
yeah, right.
Well, I'm going to go with this one because it's a half a pound.
Yeah.
Well, dude, if you can't carry a freaking another half a pound, then you need to go sit your butt on the couch. Like, that's just asinine to me.
Yeah.
But, I've grown up cutting timber my whole life, dragging around big chainsaws and farming. And so that's just a different view for me.
Yep.
And I get it. It's a fad thing where people
Yeah,
want
it
the
is.
lightest.
Yep. And they geek out about
Yes.
every little tiny
and I
little
understand.
thing.
It's just like with people's bows.
Yeah.
Like the people that tech out about
Yep.
every little grain or this, and I am not that way.
Let's use it
Like,
and let's go kill deer.
If I can hit him where I need to hit him, I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like, I love archery. I love to shoot my bow, but I don't geek out on that kind of stuff. Like Josh Bomar is a wizard at bow stuff.
Yeah.
Like our guys at Miller's. Like those
Yep.
guys love that stuff. I don't necessarily love it. Like that's not I love to fletch my arrows and
Sure.
do some stuff like that. And I used to mess with it some, but I realized that's not my thing.
Yeah.
My thing is scouting, figuring out
Figuring
a deer,
out big deer.
and getting on him, and then I want to make the shot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big 3D shooter. I'm not a, I shoot a lot by myself at my house, in my yard. I have a system of how I do it, and how every time I look at that target, what I'm thinking. I'm envisioning that buck, different things. I play those scenarios out in my head, and I think it helps me make good shots.
Yeah.
On big deer, because there's a lot of guys that can get on big deer, but they can't make the shot.
Yeah. Yep.
And
that's a whole different topic. And stuff,
I mean that's and so
for sure.
But anyways, we all can mess up, because even this Kansas deer, I shot him a little back and a little low at the how he was going, and I gave him all night. And we picked him up right first thing in the morning. I found him, and I was glad I let him lay. He was stiff as a board, but it was fine. And same with Bucky. We let him lay all night because it instantly rained after we shot him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. And
for sure.
It just, the way it works out, sometimes you're just better off to back out, give them time.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you owe it to the animals to recover them. Try to make as good a shot as you can. But everybody handles those situations different. But again, just saying the way technology has advanced and things have come, full circle in archery world this day and age. I mean, these compound bows are wicked. I mean, I don't shoot traditional archery, and I'd like to again someday. I grew up as a kid doing that all the time, shooting into round bales and shooting squirrels and shooting. I loved it.
I don't anymore. I did for a couple years. I shot a buck, I think, in 2015 with a recurve.
I mean, I never started using sights on my bow till I was about 21.
No kidding, huh? Yeah,
and even compounds.
Before I
even compounds. Wow. I wasn't using sights, and but it's kind of hard with what I do to. What we do to not do that now, because we have to have the income from sponsors and products to help do this, and so those are really what you got to use, and I like it now. I mean, it's made me more efficient, sure. I make cleaner kills. Not that you're not going to mess up here or there, but I definitely have been way more effective at making a good, clean. Yeah. I mean, how many deer have we watched die within sight?
Yeah. Yep.
Especially shooting these mega meats.
Mega meats are devastating.
I mean, they're just crazy what they do to a deer.
Looking at the next couple of weeks, or for somebody that still has a tag, I know you still have Kentucky and Missouri, and still have a tag in Illinois. What's kind of your strategy or game plan for anybody that would have a tag?
Well, I'll be honest. I tell you right now is the perfect time to catch a monster buck.
Yeah.
You're not going to see as many deer right now. But this is when I feel like you might see a deer you don't know, or a really big slob you've been after, and you might catch him on his feet now, without a doe, in the daylight, middle of the day,
and a deer that you might not have any pictures of.
Exactly. Yeah. I said a deer you don't know. It could very well happen. You could be headed to Grandma's on Thanksgiving, and this big slob's doing the Frankenstein walk across the cut bean field because they're losing their does. The does are getting bred.
Those big mature bucks are the ones that are
they don't want
to quit.
Yeah, they don't want to quit, and it's a really. That's why, places like Missouri and places that their rifle season falls this time of year. Ugh.
Yeah, a lot of big deer get shot with the gun.
I mean, because they're walking in the rut. Kentucky, same thing. Yep. So it's and I've noticed it on cameras here just recently. Some of the bigger deer starting to break off a little bit. Yeah. Well, the one deer here in Ohio, the wide 9 that we were thinking about hunting early. He hasn't daylighted, but he kind of fell off the map for a bit. We've got him 3 times now in the last 2 days.
No kidding. Yep.
Making rounds.
Yep.
So that's what he's doing. It's been dark. Yeah. But if you knew where he bedded, which I think I do, we could catch him. Yeah. But we're tagged, so we don't need to do that. But just saying, it's a good time, and don't be afraid to put your time in right now. You may not see as many deer, but you might see the right one if you're in the right spots. And I think they'll be very receptive to calling.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start working scrapes again. So that's the other thing. Scrapes go dry when the bucks are rutting. People probably notice that. Like if you're scrape hunting on November 4th, that's not smart.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Like
unless you're in a great funnel just the way it is.
Yes,
yeah.
and they're going to stop and work it because they're going through it.
Right.
But like a scrape on the edge of a food source or like they're not going to go out of their way to start just making scrapes.
They're not.
They're so intent on finding a breeding partner that they're cruising through these spots. They're not really checking those scrapes so much.
Yeah.
I've seen so much where people say that the does use the scrapes to communicate with the bucks. As far as like the does will come and pee in the scrape and then walk from the scrape, and the bucks then track the doe to breeder.
Huh.
I've hardly ever seen that.
Yeah.
I don't ever see does peeing in scrapes. Hardly ever. And we monitor how many a year. I mean, you see some, but very few.
Yeah. And if they go through, they often just would sniff it and then move on.
Yeah, like it's and I guess I'm playing Mythbuster here a little bit.
Yeah.
Like these are just my experiences. I'm not saying these are facts. But my experiences have been I hardly ever see a buck go to a scrape, pick up a doe track, and take off on it.
Yeah.
Oh, Nellie was here and she peed. She's telling me she wants to breed. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
To me, the scrapes are communications, mostly with other bucks. The whole deer herd, they all use the same scrapes. One buck opens one up, or I make a mock scrape. They all start hitting it.
Yep.
Big dominant bucks, those scrapes that are close to their bedding areas, they don't like other bucks hitting those.
Yeah, for sure. That makes them
They
mad.
do not like that. That is a great spot early to catch a big deer if you start messing with him a little bit. If you can get in there without getting nailed, and you go in there and you put some like dominant buck lure in there from Black Widow or something like that, he gets ticked. He wants to know, what the heck?
Yep.
Like, I made this scrape. No.
It makes him possibly get up earlier and move a little bit more, and just because he's
I think Bucky was doing
upset.
that.
Yep.
The Ohio buck earlier. I think he was doing that a little bit because like I would.
Yep.
And he did not like it. And he would make rounds.
He was dominant buck.
And we knew eventually we were going to get another crack. We had 3 encounters with that deer before we finally got it.
Yeah.
But every time it was like we weren't meant to shoot him. He would just never stop moving. He was far. He was just. But it was a great season. I mean, I'm so thankful, and God blessed us, and he's really been.
All right, so wrapping this up, unfortunately we had some technical difficulties with the camera cutting off and overheating, so Ben had to run, and I'm going to try to land this thing here, but like Ben was saying, God has blessed us with a great deer season so far for the entire team. I think we're up to 14 or 15 buck kills for season 11 Whitetail Edge, and that is our best so far, and it's still November 19 right now. So a couple little things that I do want to mention. I think Ben mentioned a little bit earlier in the podcast that we will be at the Iowa Deer Classic. Ben has 2 different seminars that he's doing there, and that is March 6th through the 8th of 2026 in Des Moines, Iowa. So if you do want to meet Ben or be there for those seminars, I think the seminar topics will be on how to use first and primary and secondary zones. Ben talks about this quite a bit, and we are going to be doing a seminar on that. Obviously, those primary zones are a lot more sensitive, and the secondary zones are where they're used to more human activity, farmers and field edges and that kind of stuff. So that will be one topic, and then utilizing doe bedding areas and how a buck kind of uses those, and how we can then also use those with mock scrapes and those kind of things. So you hear us talk about mock scrapes a lot and Black Widow deer lures, and it seems like almost every hunt that we are successful in, Black Widow has some kind of effect in one way or another, whether it's mock scrapes or whether it's using doe, spraying that doe urine in the air to cover our scent, maybe for a doe that's going downwind or whatever. One way or another, Black Widow usually is there with us and has an effect on our hunt. But thank you guys for following along here. We hope that you are having a good season. Gun seasons are coming in across the country. If you don't have your tag filled, go have some fun. Take your family, and just remember to always focus on what is important, and that is family and your relationship with the Creator out there. So hope you guys are having a great season as well. Thanks again for following along. Hope you have a great week.